let's just start right out with Phil Kerpen. He's an economic policy analyst and advocate, vice president of policy over at Americans for Prosperity. That would be the organization run by multimillionaire Dick Armey and funded by the Koch brothers. Hey, Phil, welcome back.
Dick Armey is a different group. That's FreedomWorks.
Oh, that's FreedomWorks. Well, thank you for correcting me. I mix up.
Always glad to correct you.
I mix up these groups that all sound so red, white, and blue, but somehow seem to mostly advocate for billionaires. And feel free to push back on me if you disagree with that characterization.
Well, I think that's absolutely false. I think we're standing up for basic principles of limited government, fiscal responsibility, and economic freedom so that everyone can accomplish what their dreams are in America. Okay, well, General Electric, eBay, Coca-Cola, Verizon, Boeing, Prudential, and Capital One are certainly getting their dream in America. None of these companies paid a penny in taxes. All of them paid their CEOs more than they paid in U.S. taxes last year. In fact, 25 of the biggest multi-billion-dollar corporations cut huge checks to their CEOs while dodging Uncle Sam. I can give you a list. I'm sure you're quite familiar with it. The average U.S. tax filer, the average person listening to this program, is paying an additional $434 this year in income taxes so that GE, eBay, Coca-Cola, Verizon, Boeing, Prudential, and Capital One can pay no taxes whatsoever. Tell me how that's American. Tom, I don't think you can connect the two. It's pretty clear that the gang we've got in Congress will spend every single penny they can get their hands on, and then another trillion that they borrow. So I don't think that the tax.
Well, I understand that's been the policy since Reagan became president, but I didn't know we were going to debate Reaganomics.
Well, I mean, you brought up the fact that that a company not paying taxes means that individuals are paying more. I don't think the two necessarily equate. But the issue to me, I think, is the corrupt special interest carve-outs, giveaways, credits, the rest of it, much of it in the name of clean energy that you supposedly support from the opening there. That's the way that GE has got their hooks into this administration. And, of course, they're sort of the for-profit arm of the Obama administration with all of their many connections and their special interest.
Okay. Well, in the 1950s, during the Eisenhower administration, corporations paid roughly 40% of the total cost of government in the United States. About 20-some-odd% was paid for by tariffs, and another 40% was paid by the personal income tax, generally speaking. That 40% that corporations were paying is now 11%.
So the reason
in 1961,
that change was because of tax competition globally, and the whole world has become intensely competitive in the intervening decades since those numbers you mentioned. And we're in a global environment right now. And frankly, our corporate tax rates are very uncompetitive. They're the highest in the world other than Japan, and that's one of the reasons that it's difficult for companies to compete right now.
When you look at actually the taxes collected, Phil, and you know this as well as I do, we're the second lowest in the world among the OECD countries in taxes collected.
Not in the corporate tax, or actually
in corporate tax. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Second lowest in the world.
In the marginal tax rate, our 35% rate is...
I'm not talking about the marginal tax rate. I'm talking about taxes actually collected. You've got 35,000 lobbyists in this town writing legislation to carve out... You had Paul Ryan on the floor of the House say, "I stand here to speak on behalf of S.C. Johnson." Turns out it's his largest campaign contributor. He wanted to cut their taxes. Specifically just them, just for companies that import heated air fresheners.
It's completely corrupt right now. I think you and I can agree that having a high marginal rate that's not competitive, but then punching all kinds of Swiss cheese holes in it, it's very unfair to folks who don't have that kind of access, and it's very inefficient economically.
So how do we get back to the point, Phil, where the amount of the cost of the commons, the amount of the cost of providing a public education for our workforce, the cost of providing a court system so that our businesses can use it, and disproportionately, 70% of our total court system, more than 70% of our total court system in the United States is used by corporations. Our prisons that enforce the outcomes of the court systems, our police and fire so that we can protect buildings from vandals and things and thieves. How do we get back to the point where corporations are paying 40% of the cost of commons and we the people are paying 40% like we did during the Eisenhower years, rather than corporations paying 11% and the rest of us paying like 70% of it? How do we get back to that?
I don't see the same dichotomy that you do between we the people and corporations. I think that corporations are a way of organizing people.
You think corporations are people?
No, I think they're a way of organizing people. Let me finish, Tom. The taxes that are collected by corporations come from one of three places. Either they come from workers in the form of lower compensation, and workers are real people, or they come from customers in the form of higher prices, or they come from shareholders. And shareholders are real people, too. In fact, corporate America is largely backed by pension funds, people's retirement savings, and so on. So no matter how the taxes that corporations pay are raised,
you forgot R&D.
They come from.
You forgot development of new plants. You forgot. I mean, I could give you a list of 50 different things that a corporation could spend their, if they paid no taxes on.
At the end of the day, a corporate form is a way of organizing production for the betterment of these people, for customers.
No, it's not. It's a way of organizing. It's a way of organizing capital for the purpose of making more capital. Come on, Phil.
Well, but who owns the capital? The shareholders. The shareholders in this country are about 50% of the population.
Sure, and they're making a maximum 15%. They're paying a maximum 15% tax on the dividends they make. How is that fair?
The capital gains and dividend tax is a double tax on already taxed income before it was invested, and I think it's very inefficient.
So you're saying that the Walton heirs who make their living sitting on their butts waiting for the dividend check to arrive from Walmart, the company that their daddy started, that those heirs, those five people who in aggregate are the richest people in the world, that they're paying a maximum 15% income tax on the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars that they make every year is just fine. Thank you very much. Their janitors should continue to pay up to 36%.
I think we can have a discussion from sort of a social policy perspective of whether we want to have a double tax, an additional layer of taxation. I would prefer not to. Obviously, you can disagree, but from a simple question of economics,
there is no double taxation, Phil. The double taxation is when I go into a store and I buy something and I pay a sales tax using money that I already paid income tax on. That's double taxation. The double taxation is when I pay a property tax on my home using dollars that I already spent that were already taxed when I took my income. That's double taxation. Double taxation is not when a corporation that uses police and fire services pays for those police and fire services. That's not double taxation.
Well, I think that only human beings pay taxes at the end of the day. The cost of those corporate taxes are passed on, as I said, either to workers.
Nonsense.
They're either workers, customers, or shareholders. Human beings, at the end of the day,
a corporation pays.
Only a human being can create wealth, and only a human being can pay.
So you're telling me that the headquarters building at General Electric is made up of it's just a stack of human beings?
No, but it's owned by the shareholders.
It's not using the commons.
It's owned by the shareholders.
It does not. That building does not use the fire department.
It does, and the shareholders ought to pay tax for that. But we need to have a much simpler system where we don't have all of these hidden and embedded.
But those shareholders are paying 15%. Well, okay, all right, we're back in a circle here. And maybe in some areas we're not quite as far apart as we seem, although I suspect not. But we'll see. Phil, it's always good talking with you. Phil Kerpen, philkerpen.com, actually, for his blogs and writing. Vice President of Policy at Americans for Prosperity. Thank you, Phil.
Have a good one, Tom.
You too.